6-4-7-5, that meeting in Cincinnati. That was the tournament just before the US Open. Making a quick start here, Sinner. It's just deep. So an early break for the world #1. Perfect start for Jannik Sinner. Yes, well done.
Sinner's going to challenge Michelsen as much as he can to play defense. Good reactions there from the American to go behind Sinner. Cooler conditions, a little bit slower than it has been the past couple of days. A little easier to defend today. First set and a half of his match, he certainly looked like he needed some time to get his feet underneath him in the opening round, which is understandable. That's perfect from Michelsen. Here comes triple break point to get right back level and keep it private and quiet and hope for the best outcome, which he got, by the way. And then face the press and face it head on, and he did what he needed to do to tell his side of the story. Still waiting to hear from the drug authorities, by the way, to hear their side. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know why Jannik Sinner's the only one up on the dais speaking to the press. I think that they could clarify, and they have not. And that, I think, needs to change.
30-40.
It's a second serve to challenge.
It's just deep. And he responds immediately. That's a good effort.
Spoken to the press about any of the decisions that they've made historically, Jim.
But they need to, don't they?
Well, unless they change to answer some of the questions that I had. But he said that
around the treatment of Jannik, and I think that needs to come from the other side. I agree, and then we can all have our private opinions and move on, and as you say, see how he well, that's an impressive response from the Osaka is opening the ninth session. Fabulous ball striking.
This nice backhand of Sinner was. He said he'd hit one of his good backhands, and when other players would be chiseling a slice,
you know what I'd say to that, Robbie? I'd say do a little better job scouting.
I mean, Michelsen's backhand is money.
Just a quick reminder to download the US Open app. You can follow all your favorite players, all the scores on there, the stats, the highlights, player news. Available in the App Store and the Google Play Store.
Challenger there in February. I didn't know who he was. Couldn't believe how good the length was on his backhand. First came on my radar as a player. And then, later in the season, when he moves a ball into the crowd, and the manner with which he threw the ball into the crowd, the feel on his backhand is so good now. And only after discovering that did it all come together and make sense to me.
Game, Michelsen.
It's fabulous stuff.
That's going to keep going.
You know.
I mean, he loses that point, but how about that return to serve?
Opportunities, as you alluded to, Lee. 8 break points, wasn't able to convert on any, and he says, yes.
Confident, ambitious young man. Hates to lose. A lot of stories about playing all sorts of sports as a kid. You need Robbie's.
Ooh. Oh!
Well watched.
That we got a little tricky with the backspin on it at third.
Game, Sinner.
Not that we needed it there, but we do have video review system in operation across 8 courts this year.
But it didn't unfold.
Hot topic of conversation after the Jack Draper.
A little friction. They were fluffing up immediately here, which they like. Just missed it.
And another break of serve comes midway through the opening set. If you left us for the sit down, Robbie Koenig was just telling us how much he was saying this in a negative way. I didn't feel like many people were playing well. Court speed, we had a bit of wind as well, didn't we?
Whether it was with the wind, whatever the reason, it was clear that the tennis level was not. The facts don't lie. There were fewer net approaches. People couldn't get to the net. Things were happening too quickly. That's beautiful. You'll see far more players at the net on this speed of surface because Purcell style game, maybe you'd take 10 years for that to happen because people would have to start practicing it as juniors, but equipment these days that you can be that successful serving and volleying. But
oh, that's unbelievable.
When returning serve, and then on the very next swing, he's landed a haymaker, guys.
Level terms once more.
Play a part in trying to break a guy's serve.
Just seems to lose his bearings there for a moment. Serve.
The wind blew like crazy and the tennis was ugly there too, so that's also going to be a contributing factor. So it's definitely next level to his game. And of course, with improved physicality, Jim, the ability.
Shook him up badly for a few days, his team told me. Feeling a little bit better out here now, just clear-minded. That's the right strategy. That's what Taylor Fritz does so well. Controls the center of the court against most players. It's hard to do against someone who covers the court quietly. Wait a beat until he has a bigger advantage to come in for an easier volley. Those are the questions Sinner makes people answer. Eight second serve points for Sinner played so far today. He's won just one of them. The return to serve has been pretty effective from Michelsen. Really just
Slightly unusual in that regard. We're about to see another.
tell you, solve that problem, though. Don't have to hit second serve.
So percentage hovering around the 60% territory so far.
Okay, that's it.
And that will do it.
And
complicated sets for the world number one. Didn't have everything go his way.
15.
Back meter of the court.
When he lost that long match against Medvedev at Wimbledon as well, he's had a few issues this summer. Hip as well that we mentioned.
When's he going to get the month-long break that he might just keep carrying an injury?
The Asian swing is upon us. Won the Beijing title last year. That was a big week for Sinner. Very, very strong ATP 500. Beating Medvedev in the final. Strikes early.
Setting to break down. For the year-end world number one, so points made only this year in 2024. So that has to be a factor for him and his team. Understands the longevity battle.
balance, isn't it? Because the important weeks just keep coming. Tony Davis, captain, will be on the phone. Jannik and the team.
Oh, he doesn't have to be on the phone. He's here in New York City. Is that the right shot, Robbie, for Michelsen to attack on?
Thought that volley would have skidded through a bit more, Jim.
Get under your toss on the second. Give me a little more arc.
So love two.
He's come in a couple of times randomly. And I think that's a skill that he's still developing.
Oh, that's world class.
Players probably lose that pattern of play 80% of the time.
It's fabulous. Great anticipation from Sinner. He was in the right spots. These early stages of set number 2.
So tough there to defend against somebody who passes well down the line. That's the most direct way. It's tough. Much tougher than the cross-court pass.
Stretch far enough.
Look where this lands. That is not an approach shot. That is a recipe for disaster. You have to absolutely be hurting Jannik Sinner to get yourself in position at the net. Otherwise, you're going to need, I mean, I don't know what to happen. And make sure you're getting a nice, easy volley to hit. Either. That was no man's land.
A couple of people that train out there with him. Of course, my good friend Chris Groh out in San Diego helps out learn at Siena a bit. He just loves playing points, and you learn some great skills by doing that. And you become a good match player because the ball is not exactly where they want it to be. And I always think it's a massive advantage when he certainly had that.
Too much wrong in this set, but
that they will implement sooner rather than later.
Game. Sinner.
So the first 4 games to keep track of, as is always the case. Early on in these majors, top half of the men's draw today, top half of the women's singles draw as well.
In Sinner's quarterfinal.
You just tell him I'm not available, which wasn't easy against Lajovic. He played well, Rob, didn't he?
He did. He needed to.
But was it phenomenal, Robbie?
Only reserved for one player. Come on, Jim.
Come on, give me a little something. Koenig sauce at some point today.
Expert. We all look up to you, Jumbo.
5 for 12. Better than he's doing so far here. That was a better approach there. That was a desperate pass.
Point to defend. It's another service game that slips away. It's been a tough set for Michelsen. familiar pattern, familiar outcome.
15 love.
All right, so that is just the second forehand winner of this match. Hopefully he just chops it up in the air and you can hit overheads or high volleys. But he's got to go bigger off the ground strokes now.
All.
Couple of big serves.
30.
Effective serving to the body to wrap things up.
Sinner.
And it is a second set bagel
Sinner.
for the world. Big day tomorrow for two of the most exciting Americans, Tiafoe and Shelton.
How do you see that one shaking out, Lee?
Oh, it's going to be fun, isn't it? Are you asking for a winner?
No, I'm just asking for your, what
can't
your
wait.
feelings are around the match.
Yeah, two massive personalities. Both play exciting tennis.
Last year he was kind of muted emotionally during the match. All right, good volley there off of a straight down the middle there. The boldness with which he plays and, kind of carries himself out there. I expect there to be a little bit more kind of chest.
I think that third set tiebreaker was a real tipping point for Tiafoe last year.
That's it.
That gave Ben the momentum, and of course the hanging up of the phone at the end of the match was just the that was the icing, right? Everybody was talking about it thereafter.
Boy, what a bluff, huh? Got away with that one. That was a pair of twos coming to the net.
It's well done.
The depth was required even closer to the baseline. You get half of that box, that space. But even as a pro, as we see Michelsen rip a forehand winner there as player and coach, he would put a net, kind of like a pole over the net. So I had to hit the ball with basically double to focus on getting more shape on the shot and depth. Because Americans tend to be very aggressive-minded tennis. Is any of that ring true for your upbringing in SA?
It's funny because I remember when I would do drills cross court. For me,
It was kind of a funky forehand, wasn't it, off the lob?
coming in, it was just perfectly aligned with the sun.
I do like that he's hitting more aggressively on his ground strokes, though, early doors here in set 3. Definitely seeing a little more velocity and intensity in those.
Beautifully redirected.
Then, of course, you couple depth with pace.
Michelsen.
Much better start to this.
See if the Demon can step through that opportunity.
out of the blocks. He was so low for his first 4 steps. And of course that gives you much better perspective when you want to then execute.
13 love.
Many will be aware, of course, of in Vienna last year. It was like a local hero in Vienna. Had a real connection with the crowd. It was once the Austrians lost in the draw.
That'll be
Again, Sinner.
That'll be the precursor to being a world-class tennis player.
Hasn't seemed to hinder some other players who are also quite capable. Honestly, I mean, don't change your shoes, don't change anything, just go do it. Terrible luck for Michelsen, and here comes trouble. That's the best way to be a great mover in tennis.
First one slips away, but 2 more chances. How tight it was in Cincy between these two. He's got him again. Picks him off. So with the break, 2-set advantage, looking good in this third now. 3-2.
18 love.
Look to
another world #1 coming on court. Traveling in pairs. They played the night sessions
this week and last week during Fan Week.
Again, Sinner.
Against Alcaraz when he lost in the quarters. And with good success as well. He came in more than Alcaraz. Hope Michelsen learns from that.
Love 40.
Point of the match for Sinner. Looking for his 8th break of serve today.
30-40.
Djokovic from the top seed, who is a hold away from the 3rd round.
What was keeping him close in the opening set was that he was able to break serve. That's something that has evaded him since. Sinner's been able to find a way to defend his second serve much better. He's just found a better level, got a little bit more comfortable. And after getting absolutely pasted in that department, has really steadied himself over.
Love. 13 love.
was just focusing on Jannik's movement in that point, and he is so explosive. And for such a big guy, he gets down so well.
2 match points.
Game 7 match. Sinner.
Mostly on cruise control today after a tight opening set.
6-4, 6-love,
Sinner too
6-2.
good for the young American. Fairly one-sided in truth. 4-love and 2 today. Into round 3. And that will be a pleasing outcome, experience and result, Jim, here inside Arthur Ashe Stadium.